Welcome to the deep dive, where we dig into some fascinating research and try to, really extract the good stuff.
Yeah, we take those sources and try to find those golden nuggets.
Exactly. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into how leaders develop their vision for a company's ecosystem,
Oh, very relevant.
especially during a digital transformation.
Especially.
Now, when we say ecosystem, think about that network of partners, suppliers, even competitors.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole web that a company works with to, create and deliver value.
Yeah, it's like the relationships that really make business happen.
That's a great way to put it.
And the article that we're going to be looking at today is by Reuter and Floyd,
Mhm.
and it's called Strategic Leaders Ecosystem, Vision Formation, and Digital Transformation, a Motivated Interactional Lens.
Quite a mouthful.
It is a mouthful,
Yeah.
but it's a very fascinating article.
Really digs deep into this idea of ecosystems and how important they are.
Yeah, and so what I think is so interesting about this is that they're focusing on how leaders develop their vision
Right.
in the middle of all this digital disruption.
Exactly. And, we're not just talking about adding a few new tech tools here and there. It's like a fundamental shift in how businesses operate.
So why don't we start with like a real world example?
Sure.
So that our listener can really understand what digital transformation looks like.
Okay.
Like in action, something that everyone can relate to.
Absolutely. Let's take the music industry, right?
Okay.
Think about it. We used to buy those physical albums, vinyl records,
Yes.
CDs.
Right.
Then we had those digital downloads,
Yeah.
iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're in the age of streaming, Spotify, Apple Music.
Yeah. They're dominating.
It's a complete overhaul of the entire business model, all driven by, technology.
Yeah, and it happens so quickly.
It really did.
So how does this idea of an ecosystem vision
Yeah.
help companies navigate those huge changes?
Well, it's like having a roadmap or a mental model of the future.
Yeah.
An ecosystem vision is how a leader sees all those potential collaborations and partnerships that will allow their company to, not just survive, but thrive in this new digital world.
Right.
It's about understanding how all the pieces fit together to deliver value.
So it's not just about the company itself, it's about the network
It's about the whole ecosystem, right?
and how it needs to change.
Exactly. And that's where this concept of ecosystem leadership comes in.
Okay.
The article really highlights how, leaders who can articulate a compelling ecosystem vision,
Yeah.
they're the ones who attract the right partners.
Right.
And they create valuable ecosystems.
Because they have that clear vision.
They can communicate it effectively.
Yeah.
And it draws people in.
So the vision itself is almost like a tool
It's a powerful tool.
to drive that change and attract the right people.
Absolutely.
But what's so interesting about this article is that it goes a step further.
It does.
And it looks at how those visions are formed.
The formation process.
Yeah, in the minds of leaders.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so let's dive into that.
Let's do it.
How do they actually go about forming this really crucial ecosystem vision?
Right.
What are the key factors at play?
Yeah.
So we're really getting into the nitty-gritty here, the inner workings of a leader's mind.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
How their motivations and interactions actually shape their vision.
Right.
And this is where the article introduces this framework called the motivated interactional lens, which sounds very complex.
It sounds complex, but it's actually pretty intuitive.
Okay, yes.
So basically, leaders have these underlying motivations that drive how they interact with potential partners.
Okay.
And those interactions ultimately shape the kind of ecosystem vision that they create.
So it's not just who they talk to, it's how they approach those conversations.
Exactly. That's crucial.
So what kind of motivations are we talking about here?
Well, the article focuses on two core cognitive needs that really influence these interactions: the need for diversity and the need for openness.
So if a leader has a high need for diversity, I imagine they're probably someone who loves connecting with a wide range of people and companies.
Yeah, they're not afraid to step outside their comfort zone
Right.
and, really explore different perspectives.
I want to see the whole picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They thrive on gathering information from diverse sources.
So they're going to be at all the conferences,
Absolutely. Attending industry events, connecting with startups.
maybe even talking to their competitors.
Yeah. They might even engage with their competitors.
Yeah.
It's all about expanding their horizons.
And then someone with a high need for openness?
Yeah.
I imagine that's the type of leader who enjoys those really deep dive conversations.
They want to get into the weeds.
They want to understand the nuance.
They don't just want to scratch the surface. They want to really understand the complexities of a situation.
So are we talking about a personality test for CEOs?
Not quite a personality test,
Yeah.
but it is a way to understand different leadership styles. When it comes to forming this ecosystem vision,
Okay.
so the authors define 4 distinct interaction types based on these 2 needs.
Okay, lay it on me. What are these interaction types?
Okay, first we have the participatory type.
Okay.
These leaders have a high need for diversity,
Mm-hmm.
but a low need for openness. So they interact widely, but often very superficially.
Okay, so I can picture this CEO going to every conference out there, shaking hands, collecting business cards,
Yeah.
but maybe not really having those in-depth conversations.
Exactly. They're gathering a lot of information,
Right.
but they're not necessarily engaging with the complexities.
Yeah, they're not really going deep.
Not really going deep.
Okay, so that's the participatory type.
Mm-hmm.
What about the leader, who's the opposite? Low need for diversity, high need for openness.
That's the selective type.
Okay.
So these leaders are all about quality over quantity.
Right.
They engage in deep discussions with a very select group of trusted partners.
So they're very careful about who they choose to collaborate with?
Very strategic. They're looking for partners that really align with their vision.
Okay, so that's selective.
That's selective.
Now, what about the leader who has a high need for both
Yes.
diversity and openness?
This is where it gets
Okay,
interesting.
the overachiever.
This is the collaborative type.
Okay.
These leaders are the ultimate networkers. They can juggle a wide range of partners
Okay.
while still engaging in open and in-depth dialogue with each of them.
So they're not just collecting contacts.
Right.
They're building genuine relationships. They're
Absolutely.
creating a real network.
They're masters of collaboration.
Okay. And then we have the flip side, the leader with a low need for both diversity and openness.
The lone wolf.
The lone wolf.
The article calls them the reclusive type.
Okay.
So these leaders tend to rely heavily on themselves and a very small inner circle.
So they might be brilliant.
They might,
They might have a great vision.
yeah,
But they're going to struggle to bring other people along.
they might have trouble getting buy-in.
And they're probably missing out on some really valuable opportunities because they're not open to those outside perspectives.
It's like trying to build a skyscraper on your own.
Yeah, you need a team.
You need a team. You need collaborators.
So this framework is really helpful. It helps us understand how a leader's motivations and interactions actually shape their ability to form that ecosystem vision.
Right.
But the article doesn't stop there.
It goes even further.
It links these interaction types to the types of partnerships that actually emerge.
Yes, the complementarities.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Of course.
So we've got these 4 interaction types and how they actually play out in forming these partnerships.
Yeah, it's like the rubber meets the road, right?
Exactly.
How do those motivations translate into real-world collaborations?
So the article talks about different types of complementarities
Right.
or ways that companies' offerings can work together.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for me?
So they talk about 3 main types:
Okay.
generic, specific, and supermodular.
Okay, so let's start with generic.
All right, generic complementarities.
What does that even mean?
Think about those simple plug-and-play relationships,
Okay.
like using a standard USB charging cable for different devices.
Okay.
You know, the companies didn't have to design their products specifically to work with each other.
Right.
They're just compatible by default.
Got it. So it's kind of like basic compatibility.
Exactly, basic compatibility.
Okay, what about specific complementarity?
Right, so specific complementarities, those involve a much deeper level of co-specialization
Okay.
and integration.
Okay.
So think about Nespresso.
Okay.
They created that system of capsules and machines.
Right.
They work together seamlessly.
But they don't work with other machines.
Exactly. They're designed as a unit, right?
Okay, so it's a much tighter, more tailored relationship.
Much more tailored.
Okay, and then we have supermodular complementarity.
Yes. This is where it gets exciting.
This is the big one.
This is where the real magic happens. Supermodular complementarities
Mhm.
are when you create something entirely new and innovative by working together.
Something that wouldn't exist without that collaboration.
Exactly greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay, give me an example.
Think about smart home ecosystems.
Okay.
You have devices from different companies.
Yeah.
Your lights, your thermostat, your security system all connect to create this seamless, intelligent living experience.
That's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
So how do these interaction types connect to the complementarities they create?
Well, the authors suggest that each interaction type tends to lead to a particular type of complementarity.
Okay, so participatory leaders, the ones who are going to every conference out there.
Right. They interact widely, but not deeply.
What kind of complementarities do they typically create?
they tend to create more of those generic complementarities.
Makes
They're
sense.
gathering information from a lot of sources, so they're more likely to spot those simple plug-and-play opportunities.
They're seeing what's out there. Okay, what about selective leaders, the ones who are having those deep conversations with a few select partners?
Right, those selective leaders are more likely to develop specific complementarities.
Because they're really focused on that collaboration.
Yeah, they're building those deep integrated relationships that allow for co-specialization
That makes sense.
and that higher level of customization.
Okay, so collaborative leaders who are maximizing both diversity and openness.
Right, the ultimate networkers.
What do they create?
They're the ones who are most likely to foster those supermodular complementarities.
That makes sense.
They're casting a wide net, and they're engaging in deep collaborative discussions.
It's like the perfect storm for innovation.
It really is.
And then finally, reclusive leaders.
Unfortunately, reclusive interactions often lead to very few new complementarities.
Because they're not really collaborating.
Right, they're not really tapping into that collective intelligence.
So they're probably missing out on a lot of opportunities.
They're missing out on the chance to create something truly remarkable.
So what does all this mean for our listener?
Well, this article is really insightful because it gives us this framework for understanding how leaders shape their company's ecosystem,
Yeah,
no matter what industry you're in.
right. So it's not just for CEOs.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing that even if you're not the CEO, you can still influence the ecosystem around you.
So it's a call to action.
It is a call to action.
To be more aware of how you interact and how you collaborate.
Exactly, and to think about how you can encourage those around you to be more open to new ideas and new partnerships.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've talked about ecosystem visions, interaction types, complementarities.
It's been a deep dive.
It has been a deep dive, and I think we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
But hopefully this has given our listeners some food for thought.
Yeah.
And some tools to think about how they can be more effective leaders in this digital world.
Absolutely. Because in the end, it's not just about surviving this digital transformation. It's about thriving in it.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, happy exploring.